Hey everyone, we're live right now at Paste Studios with Mr. Sam Bush. Sam, thanks for being here, man.
Hello, Brad. Hello, everybody. How you doing out there?
Yeah, dude, we appreciate it very much. We've got there's 3 songs from across the catalog. One song that's not recorded anywhere. We've got a song from Circles, the title track from Circles Around Me, and then and the new one, Stop the Violence, as well, which is the single is out right now. I'll drop a link to that music video into the comment section later, so people can check out the studio version.
Good deal.
But can you tell us what you're going to start out with?
We are starting out today. Song Jeff Black and I wrote this tune a number of years ago, and called "Circles Around Me." And we, of course, we get together when we write, drink coffee, discuss the world and what we've been going through. And in this particular day, we realized that we had reached an age where we lost some friends and loved ones along the way, and one of us said, "How in the world did we get this far?" When you think about all the crazy things you've done and just falling off the monkey bars when you were a kid, and just how did we get this far? And we realized that we felt pretty fortunate, and that it's kind of a song of thanks. We're thankful, that we are still here, and thankful for the loved ones we have had and the good friends we have and the good friends we've made. And so, kind of what it says here. The circles around me. Now we were riding down through the grapevine when I heard someone say your name. Hand on my shoulder, just a little bit older now, and I remember everything. High until you ride up on Bridal Veil, 10,000 feet above the sound. The news came around and sent me to count all my blessings and to thank you for all the good friends that I've found. Hey, 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 how in the world did we get this far? Hey, 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 holding tight to the tail of a shooting star. Hey, 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 you're running circles around me now. Now was I dreaming? Did this really happen? I can feel the earth below my feet. The world is turning fast and wild. I'm like a little newborn baby child who's never known regret or defeat. I am surrounded, tangled in the wire, drawn up tight to the calling and the rising frequency of the silent smiles and laughter of those that came before, and the deafening sound of all this love falling down on me. Hey, 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 how in the hell did we get this far? Hey, 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 holding tight to the tail of a shooting star. Hey, 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 you're running circles around me now. Hey, 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 of a shooting star. Hey, 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 round me now. Round me now, circled around me now. You're running circled around me. Round me now.
Man, that sounds great, dude. Before the guitar goes away, and before we get into the next song, can we talk? Just a continuation of the conversation that we were having offline. Can you tell the internet a bit about the guitar that you're playing right now? It's a fascinating story you were sharing with us just a couple minutes ago.
Well, I'd love to. This was in 1976. The Newgrass Revival went to Japan for the first time, and we were greeted with instrument companies, that wanted to give the American musicians gifts. And so the Ibanez company was one that came away. And another company, the parent company was Tokai, I guess, the company was called Cat's Eyes. And they gave, we came away with them with a guitar for me and the guitar player, bass, and a banjo. So, but in this one had odd-looking inlay patterns. They're copied to look like old Martin guitars. And so in asking them, is this a copy of a certain Martin model? And they said, well, it's a copy of a D42, which I had never heard of. Didn't think, I'd go, really? There was a model called D42? And a couple years later, Mr. Mike Longworth, who was the MC at the flat picking contest out in Winfield, Kansas. So we're playing on the festival, and he walked by and said, where'd you get that guitar? I said, Japan. He goes, that's a copy of a D42. I said, really? So there is such a thing.
Confirmed.
He said, well, there was only 2 ever made at the time back in the 40s, and that one, they didn't know where it was, and the other one was in a glass case at the Martin factory with forbidden photography. So he went, they got in there with micro cameras. They copied it. So it apparently is a copy of the couple of D42s made by Martin. And this Cat's Eye's been a great road guitar since 1976, and it takes a beating and keeps on going.
Yeah. Well, man, it sounds great. And could we run through the same thing? Also, I mean, this is a fascinating backstory on this guy and this mandolin you're about to play.
Well, yeah, boy, I love instruments. I love talking about them. I'm a catalog collector too, so I even like instrument catalogs from the 30s. I just like to read about what they said. This is a 1937 Gibson F5, and I acquired it in 1973, so I've had it since 73, and the owner before me was Norman Blake, and Norman played this on a John Hartford record called Morning Bugle, and which is one of my favorite Hartford records, and of course, I love hearing this mandolin on, and John Hartford even played this mandolin with finger picks on the record on a song, if you want to check that out sometime, called Nobody Eats at Lime Balls Anymore. But so Norman had this mandolin, and it was acquired from George Gruen by Norman, and he wasn't satisfied with the sound, so he had the great luthier named Randy Wood down in Savannah, Georgia. Well, Randy was in Nashville at the time, but now in Savannah. And he had Randy Wood take the back off and shave the internal braces. They were way too big, and when he put it all back together, I heard this thing, and it was a drop to your knees moment and beg him, if you ever sell it, please sell it to me. Yeah. And he traded it to our other buddy, Tut Taylor, who called me that day and said, I've got this mandolin. You need to come get it. If you want it, you better come get it. So I was fortunate to get this in January of 1973, and I think this is about the 4th fingerboard that's been on it. And so it's as they say, it's been rode hard and put up wet a lot. But but you're very fortunate if you can continue to love an instrument, because it's easy as you continue to own them to maybe find out where something they lack, or certain parts you may be dissatisfied with. And this one, that I'm fortunate I found a friend for life when I got, and Tony Rice named this mandolin Old Hoss. So Hoss is a constant companion, and I love him dearly.
All right. Man, well, dude, soundcheck has sounded outstanding so far. I mean, I love the sound of both of these instruments. Can you tell us a little bit about the second song that's coming up?
Well, the second one is kind of like my take on an old fiddle tune. I originally learned this tune from a fiddle player named Texas Shorty, and it's called Cattle in the Cane. And the first part you'll notice is in the key of A minor. Second part's in A major. And then I'm throwing in a few little phrases and stuff that I might have thrown in myself. We'll put a little bit of different thing at the beginning and end here. So here's Cattle in the Cane. And there's a 1937 Malin for you.
Yeah, man.
There,
That sounds
that
great,
tune's-
dude. Thank you.
That string's in tune now.
Can we talk a little bit about the documentary? It's out right now. It's on Amazon right now.
Yeah.
There's a doc revival. The Sam Bush story goes through your entire story and a bit of what it's been like for you as a trailblazer, as sort of at the forefront of evolving this art form into something else. Can you tell us a bit about that doc?
Well, documentary. Boy, when anybody tells you they want to make a documentary about you, careful if you say yes. Well, we met some filmmakers. Lynn and I my wife and I, we like to go to Florida, down at the Gulf Coast, and we've met some great musicians down there. And one of the fine musicians we met was a fellow named Duke Bardwell. And Duke has an interesting story. And when he was younger, he played bass with Elvis. And so that's part of Duke's story. He's a really interesting character and a great musician and singer. And so we now friends with Wayne Franklin and Chris Wheeler, the directors. They made a documentary about Duke and invited us to. It came to the Nashville Film Festival in Nashville, Tennessee, where we live. And so we went to see Duke's movie and loved the way they presented him, told his story. And one of the things that I really loved about what they did was when it showed Duke playing music, they had now a current day performance of Duke. It wasn't just old footage of him. And so in telling his story, we thought that was great. And they, I don't know, I don't think they asked us that night, but approached us about, well, we wanted you to come see Duke's in hopes that we'd like to make one on you. And so that was an odd thought, because I thought Duke's story was pretty interesting. I don't think mine is. And so so we said, sure. And so then began the process of first, doing a lot of interviews. Well, first just an audio interview with the filmmakers that lasted about 4 hours. And so they took that and came back about a month later. And they've decided, okay, this is how we'd like to tell your story. So really, it's the two directors telling my musical story, not so much me talking about what I've done, but them. And we had a lot of generous friends that were willing to give their time and discuss things on camera. So really, I'm proud of what they did, and I think it's a good representation of explaining what I've been trying to do all these years musically. It's just then comes the time when the film comes out, and it came to the Nashville Film Festival, and then sitting in there watching it in a theater is an odd experience when
I bet.
it's your face up there talking, and people are talking about you in the film, so it's almost like you're going to your own wake, almost, except it's a happy thing. And
yeah, what a cool experience. I mean, how many people get to sit and have people say nice things about them while they're still alive?
It's been an interesting process to go through, and it's been received well, and but we think we're really happy with what Chris and Wayne did with it, and so it's an interesting thing. So you can check that out on, I think Amazon is the
I got to watch it over the weekend. Revival: the Sam Bush story. It's outstanding. I enjoyed it a lot, man. I haven't checked out Duke's story, but I did check out yours, and it's great.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. By the way, Duke's movie is called Duke and the King. So check out Duke and the King. It's an interesting story as well.
Cool.
But we.
So yeah, can you tell us what's coming up next? There's a single. This next song is out as a single. I'm about to drop a link to the music video into the comment section so people can check it out. Can you tell us about Stop the Violence?
Yes, this too was written with Jeff Black, and we really wrote this about 10 years ago at least. And at the time, again, Jeff and I get together, we talk, we have coffee, we discuss things. And what we were thinking about that day was that the world had gotten really violent. And of course, mass shootings 10 years ago were not quite as common as we now have them. But that was very upsetting to Jeff and I. And also just mean-spirited entertainment, perhaps, like TV entertainment, gotten certain shows that kind of mean to each other, that's mean-spirited. And one show in particular that really seemed to make a mark on Jeff and I was when this one guy, they'd have a close-up and he'd look at the camera and yell, "You're fired." We didn't like that show at all.
It's not a good show in any way.
Well, we just thought, so this is entertainment for people, mean-spirited things. And with violence, of course, as Jeff and I write, we don't always state the obvious, except in this song we say "Stop the Violence" 4 times each chorus.
Yeah.
But we address just there's violence against women, gun violence. I mean, it's just kids being violent to each other. It's just two songwriters wishing for a less violent world and perhaps more dialogue about it. So if it raises a little more dialogue, then we'd like that to happen. But really, it's just we know we can't save the world with a song, but we sure would like to see it less violent.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, thank you for voicing that opinion. We're happy to use this platform anytime we can to amplify a voice that's saying something that's a little more important than just straight press for an album. And it's an important message, and we're happy to use this platform
and this
to spread
was
that.
Also the only time where, or not the only time, but one of the few times where I think of myself as a picker first, maybe, and as a songwriter, that I felt like this needed to be said, and we didn't have other electric songs to make a whole album out of it. So, I asked my manager, how do you do it? He said, make a YouTube video. Yeah. And so that's because how can we do a single? I just like this to be said, and if people embrace it, great. If not, Jeff and I wrote a song that we like.
Right. Love to hear it.
Okay, but Stephen Mojan, if you're watching this, he's who played on the video. But the guys in the Sandbush Band, and I'd just like to make mention of them, and because we have an electric side to our group too, and that's what's displayed on this song. And Stephen Mojan will be on guitar in your video when you watch us. I'm playing actually a little Fender mandolin made in 1956 on this one, and so it's a mandolin when you see it, but it sounds like a guitar. Scott, our banjo player, plays banjo synthesizer with keyboard sounds. And then, of course, Chris Brown on drums, Todd Parks on bass, and that's our band. So check us out on YouTube here. But here's a little solo version of Stop the Violence. I hate living in a world where there's so much pain. We wallow in the cause, strapped by the mark of Cain. Living in a barrel of cold blue steel. Who's gonna save us now? We've got to live together. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. There's a woman in this town who walks on a wire. She lost everything she owned, now to the devil's desire. Fighting in the shadows, too afraid to be free. Life out of balance, God have mercy on me. Stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. What's broken in the spirit now that's killing the soul? How do we save the children from walking down that road? Can I tie the truth down tight, yes, and teach them how to sing? Can love be the light that will help us find our way back? Stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. I don't care what people think of me, don't know where to begin. 1,000 ways, 1,000 times, 1,000 days, I'm gonna say it again. You can hide behind your church boy, your politics and fame. Meet me at the roundhouse, I'm jumping on that peace train. Stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. Somehow, some way, we'll be free someday. They're gonna say his name, gonna place the blame. While the world is turning, there's no way of knowing. Too many people dying, too many children crying. Stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence.
Yeah.
We're stopping.
Awesome. Sam, thank you so much for coming here and doing this. Thanks for that acoustic rendition of that. You got a bit of a workout this morning. And
That's all the guitar I can play.
Yeah. Well, man, it sounded great, and there is on the Facebook side. There's a link in the comment section to the full studio album version of that.
Yes.
Man, thanks for doing this, and travel safely. You're going to be at Delfest in Cumberland, Maryland, on May 26th. You're going to be at the Blue Ox Music Fest in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, June 14th.
Yes, yes.
Telluride Bluegrass on June 22nd. It would be weird if the king of Telluride did not play the Telluride.
It'll be number 45.
45
Tellurides
consecutive.
for me. Amazing.
Yeah, and there's dates announced all the way through September. They're all up at sambush.com. And if you want more info about that documentary as well, that's up at sambushmovie.com. Yeah, so, dude, thanks again for coming through and doing this, and travel safely. We really appreciate it.
You keep pasting out there. We thank you so much. Thanks, Brad. Thank you so much.